Did you guys see the Hell Is Us gameplay? Did you guys see it? It looks straight up like Death Stranding mixed with like a little Stalker vibes, frankly, like just a little bit. NPCs look really good. Give them that. It's very immersive. I can already tell this running animation is going to give me an aneurysm. It's very, very trippy. Very weird. Very weird. The way they describe it is that it's a world without traditional waypoints and markers. Learn how the game delivers clues in unique ways, staying true to its core philosophy, player plattering.
And in which order?
Let's go all the way back. Let's see.
Hi everyone, I am Jonathan Jacques Bellatet. I am the creative director and the art director on Hell Is Us here at Rogue Factor. So today I'm super excited because we're going to show you some brand new gameplay, some new sequences, and some new tidbits from the game that we've never shown before. Hell Is Us is a third-person action-adventure game that blends the old-school thrill of exploration and discovery with a deeply satisfying melee combat system. You're going to wield a lot of different weapons, master various skills, and strategically use your drone's abilities to gain the upper hand in battle. But combat is only 50% of the experience. The other half of the game is all about the exploration, the discovery, the joy that's related to them, and how they play a central role in your journey.
I mean, already he's saying stuff like little tidbits, the freedom of exploration, the sense of discovery. I'm hoping this is one of those first games we see that is learning from Elden Ring specifically. Like, you remember after The Witcher 3, there were all those games that came out like a year and a half, 2 years later that clearly were super inspired. Often they just straight up said they were inspired by The Witcher 3. Like AC Origins, the team was very clear. Oh, with AC Origins, yeah, we're taking a lot of notes from The Witcher 3. That's part of what inspired a lot of these choices. And people are freaking out at the time. They're like, they're not The Witcher. I'm like, bro, The Witcher 3 is like an amazing game. If other games look to it and say, hey, can we do stuff like that? If I get a game that's even 80% of The Witcher 3, I'm happy. If I get a game that has an open world and exploration that's even 80, 70% of what Elden Ring was, I'm happy. You know, like, give me whatever you're able to do. If you're getting inspired by things I really like, that gets me excited. That gets me interested and intrigued, dare I say.
You know where the village of Jova is located?
It's in Akasa Marshes. It's quite a ways from here.
So you play as Remy, and you're returning to the country you were born in. The country is called Hadia, and search for answers, but only to find that the land is torn apart by a vicious civil war. With only a few pieces of information to start with, so you'll have to investigate to uncover the truth about your past and figure out where to go next. But unlike traditional games, Hell Is Us doesn't rely on quest markers or a guided path. There's no magical compass pointing you in the right direction, and there's no quest journal with, the shopping list of everything that you need to do and in which order. But instead, our player plattering approach encourages you to follow your own instincts, discover clues organically, and chart your own course through the adventure.
Follow your own heart. I was really hoping he would say that. We designed the game for players to follow their own heart to the truth of the situation. I think this is exciting. I like this. But I also love hyper immersive games. Shocker, right? I love KCD too. I know, like, oh, Luke likes immersive stuff. So I like this. And primarily what I think it is, it's a response on my part to an industry which it feels to me on the AAA side of things has started assuming players are really stupid all the time. And it drives me crazy. You play something like Spider-Man 2, big budget game. God of War Ragnarok even did it with like Atreus constantly telling you how to solve puzzles before you even saw that you were in a puzzle, They just assume you're too stupid to figure it out, so they just hold your hand through the whole game. And I can't stand it. Like, I want games to assume that I'm smart and to expect me to rise to the occasion and figure it out. And it's why I've been frustrated with games that have like puzzles in them where you just kind of walk through it. I like a lot of what Indiana Jones did, but a lot of those puzzles were just like doing stuff. They weren't really puzzles. They were impediments, as we learned was a word earlier. They were things to just, be speed bumps in the road from you getting to point A to point B. where you're like, okay, I just have to move this crate, then move this crate, and then push that, and then the door opens. Okay. That's not a puzzle. A puzzle is something you've got to think about. You got to figure it out. You know, it's why if you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, that's not really a puzzle anymore, because you're just going through the motions. You're just doing the thing you know how to do. You're not like really thinking about it. If you don't know how to solve a Rubik's Cube, that's one hell of a puzzle, right? And with this type of thing, I love the idea of them putting stuff in a world, designing it around players, thinking through what they need to do and figuring it out, and embracing those more dynamic things that can happen when players come to different conclusions or have different thoughts of how to get to point A to point B, or from point A to point B. So I really like this. I think this is interesting.
Discover clues organically and chart your own course through the adventure. In this sequence, we just arrive at a village called Jova. This is the village where Remy was born. He remembers that. He also remembers one more clue, which is his father was the blacksmith of Jova. So these are kind of like the earlier or the earliest clues that you have in the game in order to decide what to do, where to go, who to talk to, and how to chart your own path into trying to find your parents.
The lighting is crazy though.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Rebecca. I've been hiding here since the attack on Jova, when the bombs fell from the sky. I was playing in the treehouse with my baby brother. My parents ran out and screamed at us to get down. My baby brother ran to them. That's when the bomb exploded.
I'm already unsettled. I also think that the microphones are a little too close to the actress's mouth. Because like you can hear their tongue slapping the inside of their mouth. Unsubscribe. It's just one of those things. What was the other game? There was another game where like, I think it was Mafia Definitive Edition, where they used these like forehead mounted microphones, but the way they had it set up was just such that they could really hone in on the inhalation through the nose of one of the characters. I forget which one, but one character specifically, he would deliver a line of dialogue and then you just hear like in between every single line. And it was like, okay, can we tone that down? Can we move the microphone or something? It was like, it's a little distracting. Okay. It feels like he's in my ear inhaling. It's a little bit much. So anyway, that's a separate issue. I tend to get a little touchy with sound stuff. It's a problem I have. It's probably because I sold like home theaters and stuff, so I'm like hyper aware of it. But anyway,
So, I'm
Ignore
looking
me.
for the blacksmith. Do you know where he is?
I don't know him very well. I think he doesn't like kids much. I saw some villagers leaving with the ON peacekeepers on their white trucks. Maybe he went with them.
Hey, did you see where the white trucks went?
I watched the white trucks drive away. They took the road that turns behind the hill with the ancient monuments. We can see them from here.
I love this kind of thing. So she just gave you the instructions of where to go. You have to think about it, remember it, and then follow through on it. This is something that you can actually do with almost all quests in The Witcher 3 as well, which you might not realize. But if you want to, most of the NPCs, almost all of them, when they tell you something in a quest in The Witcher 3, they'll say, I'll meet you down the street at the bookstore with the red door, or whatever it is. And you can find it without the quest objective marker. You can turn off the UI entirely and still play through most of the game. And it's the same thing in K-City 2. Like it's something in trusting players to like be able to do it. And initially it can be really jarring because if you're used to playing a game that just holds your hand and puts an objective marker up and you just go there, you just bounce between locations, then you can just knock that out easy. I mean, it's going to be jarring if you go from that to this. But once you get used to it, it's super immersive. Jump. Dude, sorry to interrupt. I just got the email that they are working. They almost have fiber ready to go at my new address. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's about damn time. Because I've been having to pay $300 a month for internet that's really, really crappy. but it's the literal only service provider in the entire city. So you have no choice. But finally, there's competition. Oh, baby. Cat.
So as you saw, we just learned that the blacksmith probably left with one of the humanitarian convoys from the organized nations, which are the peacekeeping forces stationed in the country. We've also found a map that appears to show a route coming out of the Akasa marshes. So we'll stop here for now. We've gathered a few clues. We have a bit of an idea where to go next for our investigation. We've shown you how things work a little bit and how you can connect the dots.
Show me.
But, you know, I want you guys to discover it for yourself when the game comes out in September.
Oh, we don't
In
get
this
to-
section,
oh,
we're
yeah.
stepping away from the main investigation to explore the many hidden secrets and side investigations scattered throughout Hadia. You can complete the game without ever uncovering them. But if you're curious and observant, you might just stumble upon some incredible discoveries.
Can we normalize secrets in games again? Can we make this like a thing? I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to play a game and there's just nothing outside of what they very clearly designed. Like, you have a game map, okay? Well, let me pull up an actual one. I'm going to try to demonstrate this point, okay? Horizon Zero Dawn had some like cool secrets and stuff in it. But what inevitably happens in a lot of modern games is that the player sees that there's like individual locations that are clearly placed there. There's something there. They're called POIs, points of interest, right? But outside of the POIs, there's nothing. Like they've marked it, right? So what that means is that there is basically no incentive to go in here. Now, I don't know for a fact that there's nothing to find in here. I'm guessing there's probably something. So I'm just using this as a map to demonstrate the point because I'm sure Horizon has some loot up here or something like that. But with these types of games, there's no reason to run through the forest. There's no reason to go look in here because there's no POI marked. And so like the typical EA, Ubisoft kind of generic open world design tends to just have nothing important here because they're like, no, we don't want you spending time over here. We want you spending time in these areas. We put a lot of effort in. Look how much stuff is there. Look at all the little points of lore and lore building stuff and monsters and machines for you to hunt. Don't spend time hiking over here. Hike over here, And it's very frustrating because one of the most exciting things for me is when you're running through the open world and you are in one of these areas where there is nothing and you find something and you're like, what in the hell? What? You want to know one of the like old school, this is a deep cut. If you know what I'm talking about, then you're an OG too. Do you guys remember Just Cause 2? When that game came out, one of the biggest shows on all of TV was a show called Lost. Unfortunately, they lost the plot towards the end of it and it turned into a disaster and it was horrible. But if you go to a very specific island in Just Cause 2, the plane will just automatically crash no matter what you do. It's tied to the story. There's something there. But if you jump out and you go down into the forest of this island, you can see there's no POI. There's nothing marked on it. But if you descend down slowly, you can actually find some stuff. So you see they swing down here. It says search a crashed plane. You're like, oh, well, maybe it's just a plane crash. It's just like a little bit of environmental detail. But if you swing into the forest, you can eventually come across the hatch. And if you never watched Lost, you won't know what the hatch is. But it's a big Easter egg from the show. It's very specific to Lost. Dude, this guy can just not find it. There it is. So you can come across the hatch. It has nothing to do with anything. There's no quest tied to it. It's just like an Easter egg. It's a little secret nod to the show. But finding this, I can't even tell you how many times I just like would wander around an island. Because after I found this, I was like, what else could be out there? Turns out basically nothing. But when you find that one secret, it ignites the imagination. And you're like, oh my God, I want to look everywhere. I want to check everything out. I got to keep looking and digging and around every corner, every nook and cranny. I got to find it. Elden Ring also did a great job of this, where you could be looking somewhere and you're like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. And then you find a hidden boss or a super powerful weapon or something. And those moments of discovery and surprise can motivate another 10, 15 hours of you running around finding nothing, but you're trying to chase that high of finding something cool that maybe you're only one of a dozen people on Earth that found it. Realistically not, but still, like, you know, it's that feeling of you discovered something secret, and that's cool. And I like the idea that Hell is Us is trying to do the same thing. I really, really like that. Because so many games have just kind of given up on the idea of secrets, and it's frustrating the hell out of me. They're like, why would we put a secret in our game? That might mean that people won't see it. Why would we work on something and put it in the game if not everybody will see it? Like, that's precisely why. Because the fact that not everybody will see it makes it so much more valuable. That's worth 5 regular quests or encounters because it's something special, you know?
Some incredible discoveries. Our core philosophy is simple. If your instinct tells you there's something to do, then there probably is. The footage you're seeing now showcases just a few of the many secrets woven into Hell is Us. These are playful examples of how the game handles secondary investigations, but they perfectly illustrate our approach.
I'm only permitted to play Sabinian classics, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, I only happen to know one of their dreadful compositions.
There are countless mysteries waiting to be uncovered. If you trust your instincts, you'll find yourself solving some truly fascinating mysteries along the way. Now, when we talk about player plattering, it doesn't mean you'll constantly need to overthink every step to progress. Many elements will be clear and intuitive, as our belief is that you actually don't need quest markers to navigate and advance in the adventure. That being said, for those who love a challenge, some of these deeper secrets will require keen observation and deduction to be uncovered. Good luck. Take another look at the sequences we've just shown in this video and share with us your first ideas on how to solve this last secret. Let's see who can connect the dots first.
I rationed his milk as long as possible, but ran out yesterday. Poor Uli is starving. I don't know how I can possibly get any more.
Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Baby bottles?
We hope you
Watch somebody in the comments already has it. I'll be grabbing a notepad and pen when writing down every clue I see in here. This is kind of immersion I can really get into. Yeah, I'm actually okay with like needing to write down and keep notes in a game. I understand how some people hate that, okay? I'm not saying every game should be like that, but I do love the idea of a game that's so immersive that you want to keep like a journal for it. You know, like the answer is to retrieve breast milk. Just show back up in the village. Guys, I'm on a quest. No. It's for a baby. Not me. It's a different baby. But yeah. I like this. I like this a lot. I like a lot of what I'm hearing. Now, this can go, you know, a couple different ways. Sometimes they nail it and they do a great job. Other times you hear this type of thing said and you end up with something like, maybe that's like really self-indulgent, something like, you know, Death Stranding, where it's really artsy and crazy and weird. And it can be very immersive, but it can also just be like trying so hard to be immersive that it can kind of lose sight of the fact that it's a video game. So there's a balancing act, but I think that these types of games that are not being designed for everybody, I mean, they're pretty transparently not trying to make a game that appeals to the broadest possible slice of gamers, or modern audiences, whatever the hell they want to call it. And I like that. I like games that are not the same, because inevitably what you end up with a lot of these companies is that they're like, we have to appeal to this group where there's 300 million possible customers. So you have to appeal to every single one of them by doing this, and this, trying to check off these boxes so that they like it. Oh, well, Fortnite kids like Fortnite, so let's make their art style look like Fortnite. And then we have all these other players that like Rocket League, so let's just sprinkle balls everywhere. And like they just start trying to do everything to appeal and pander to everybody they can. And in the end, they make a game that literally nobody likes because it's just so painfully generic, you know. But this seems like it's being designed from the ground up to not appeal to everybody. Yeah, some people will probably hate this, and I appreciate that. Doesn't mean that it leads to a great game. I mean, sometimes you can double down on your core design philosophies and you made some mistakes, or your design philosophy just doesn't lead to a very good game or a fun game. But at the very least, I think it has potential to really be something special. Kind of high risk, high reward, if you think of it like that. High risk, high reward. I love this. Looks like Kojima and Last of Asus. Yeah, it's like Deus Ex mixed with Death Stranding. And then the open world kind of reminds me of Stalker a little bit. It seems with like a little bit of something else. The like really surrealist enemies. I don't know. There's like the little bit of Housemarque in there too. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting melding. So we'll see. It comes out in September. It's on its way. I believe it's September 4th. It says it will be released on PlayStation 5. I don't know if this is cross-platform or not. But an interesting game, something to keep an eye on. Control, yeah, a little bit of Control, yeah, just a tad, little taste of it, yeah. I'm glad it exists for people that like this kind of thing. Well, exactly, Captain Savvy. It's a game that's not for everybody, and it's not apologizing for itself. It's just doing its own thing. In the words of Peter Griffin, it insists upon itself. It insists upon itself. He took my thing.